If you want a successful YouTube channel in 2024, you're going to want to know these key components to grow and create amazing content that attracts your ideal audience here on the platform. A big thank you to Universal Music for Creators for sponsoring this video, but more on it a little later. Ready? Let's do this. Before you even start fleshing out an idea, you have to make sure you get the foundations right. Now, what are the foundations? Well, whatever speaks to your audience well and draws their attention. That's why you should always start with thumbnails and titles. No matter how good your content is, it's not going to be watched if the title and thumbnail don't earn that click. And this cannot be overstated. Many beginner YouTubers focus so much on the video itself, but fail to spend enough time on these two crucial components, and this is where everything really starts. To get better at creating thumbnails and titles, look at what's going on in your niche and beyond and see what sticks out when you go for a specific search term on YouTube. Are you drawn to anything in particular? If so, why? It's a great exercise to get into the head of the viewer and see what might entice them to click. You need to understand exactly what works on the platform to gain traction here, and that's why reverse engineering your titles and thumbnails is so important, especially at the beginning. Every time you have an idea for a video, sit down and think about how you can spark curiosity with your thumbnail. What would your audience really not want to miss out on? What should the focus point be? Faces tend to attract more attention, especially when they show emotion. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about the cliche YouTube shocked face, but even a bit of an extra expression can be noticed more easily than a blank face or a simple smile. The text that you put on it is also quite crucial, and it's best if it's not repeating the title. Asking super short and intriguing questions works great here, but of course, it will very much depend on the type of content that you produce. Sometimes big creators like Peter McKinnon or Matt Davella don't really use any text at all and still manage to create interest with the photo itself. This is your space to experiment and see what works for your audience. Same goes for the titles. Apart from including a strong keyword to make your video searchable when possible, think of what angle you're going to go for to pull your audience to this video. Here's a great example from Dr. Izzy Seeley with a video titled How to Journal to Become Unrecognizable in 3 Months. Not only does it include a strong keyword, how to journal, since this is something that her audience is likely to be looking up on YouTube, but it also follows up with a super strong result by saying unrecognizable. This is exactly what people are looking for. It gives them a promise of a complete transformation, and when she sprinkled in the 3 months, that right there sealed the deal. Now they have a vision of their lives being completely changed in a relatively short time by this one simple thing, journaling. Dr. Seeley has done a brilliant job of engaging the viewer here, and that's how you should think of framing your videos too. The work doesn't really end when you earn the click though. You then have to keep the viewer from clicking away. One look at the analytics of any YouTuber out there will tell you that you lose the majority of viewers in the first 30 seconds of the video or less. You've already figured out what might pique the interest of your audience with the thumbnail and the title, so how do you fuel that curiosity further within the first seconds? This is where so many people really trip up, so hear me out. What you don't want to do is to bore your audience with a long channel intro or introduce yourself the standard YouTube way with subscribe and like and all that stuff that we know so well from the platform. We all have shorter attention spans now, and unless you hype up the promise of the thumbnail first, you'll likely lose the majority of the viewers, and that's ultimately harming your channel. One thing that's super important here on YouTube is your watch time and retention, which we'll talk about in just a second, so keep watching to know exactly how to boost it, and that's why starting with a strong hook is so crucial. So instead of spending time making a stunning intro video in Canva or going on and on about what the channel is about, give them what they want. It's all about the emotions that you bring out in them. I like to look at hooks in 2 ways, the visuals and the words. Visually, you want this part to be super engaging, so if you can add text effects or captions to back up what you're saying, have some graphics pop out, add B-roll clips, arrows pointing, sound effects, anything that's going to stimulate the viewer and make their mind engaged on what you're saying. With the wording itself, build on the promise you've given the viewers with the thumbnail and the title. Can you entice them with a potential result they can get after watching your video? Can you paint a picture of what their life will look like if only they do this simple thing? Or do you have a super engaging moment from your vlog or an interview that can work as a mini teaser, making them even more curious about the whole thing? Going back to Dr. Seeley, she does a great job at this in her video. She relates to the audience by saying it's easy to feel like journaling is hard, and then strikes this objection by explaining you just need a minute a day to transform your life, which also serves as a powerful reminder of the results they'll get. She understands what her audience wants and uses it to draw their attention further here. Now, the beginning of your video is so crucial, but don't neglect the ending. So often you see YouTubers say, "That's it for today," or say things like, "And the last point I want to make," which indicates to the audience that the video is ending. That's not what you want. Your outros should be a pitch to another one of your videos to keep them watching and ultimately get them to know you better. Not only will it help your channel perform better since you'll get more watch time out of your viewers, but perhaps more importantly, you'll get more chances to connect with them and become returning viewers. Every time I create a video, I think of a related one on my channel that can help my viewers further or interest them even more. Then I hook them with a strong call to action to invite them to keep watching. It could look something like this. Say I've got a video on how to create more videos with Canva AI. I know the biggest pain point of my audience here would be creating more content faster. That's why the next video I'll pitch towards the end here would be my 10 tips to design faster in Canva video, and I'd say something like this. If you want to learn how to design faster in Canva to create even more content quickly, then watch this video right now, and then include an end screen with this exact video featured. Once you've hooked your viewers, your goal is to keep them watching. You can do it with your words, leaving the audience curious about what's to come next and adding powerful cues to keep them hungry for more. Now, within the first few minutes of his video, How to Get Everything You Want This Year, Thomas Frank explains what's going to happen to keep you watching. First, he says he'll get you to answer 6 key questions, and then it's going to leave you with 3 distinct to-do lists by the end of the video. This leaves the audience with curiosity because they want to get to that resource at the end, and they will only understand it fully when they watch the full video. Apart from the messaging, focus on the visuals as well and have something happen on screen every few seconds. This is another layer that you can add to engage your audience throughout the video and really keep them from clicking away. You can do it both when you record and then when you edit. A simple way would be to change the backgrounds and the camera angles, even switching to different parts of your room or adding a tighter or wider shot can have an impact on how well the video flows. When editing, you can add more visual interest by adding jump cuts or zoom-ins and including some B-roll. You can present something you're talking about with an overhead shot of your writing, add text overlays or data on the screen, or include visual cues to the main talking points. The third way to also improve your watch time and retention is by adding music or sound effects, which leads me to introduce today's sponsor, Universal Music for Creators. It's a brand new platform with a huge library of over 50,000 claims-free tracks for creators, YouTubers, and videographers. Since their music has been produced with TV shows and movies in mind, it's hardwired to keep the attention of your audience and therefore increase retention on your videos, which is exactly what we're trying to achieve here. It's so easy to see when you look at the tracks on the platform. You can see the changes and the dramatic drops with playback. I can just jump in and browse the library through the useful playlists or themes, different genres and moods that help me tell amazing stories. All I have to do then is to download the track and add it to my timeline and then start editing to it, creating the vibe and building clips around the music itself. This makes videos so much more interesting and engaging since you don't rely only on the visuals. In a world where we're all so easily distracted watching videos on laptops while simultaneously scrolling on our phones, adding music that was created with retention in mind helps break the cycle and keep the attention flowing towards the video and not away from it. Sound effects also help you build a more realistic atmosphere. For example, when you're a lifestyle blogger, adding sounds of pouring coffee into a mug or writing on a piece of paper really immerse the viewers in the story. This is something that I really love doing, and I found that it adds depth and emotion. I've sprinkled it around on this video along with the different overlays and b-roll so you can see exactly how it works in action. And it's super easy to find what you're looking for in the Universal Music for Creators sound effects library, since it's all categorized and described with keywords, so the search results are very precise. Something that I found almost surprising about using the platform is that it was genuinely super inspiring. Because it's so easy to use and because there's so much great quality music in there, I was sucked in, and I mean it in the most positive way possible. I was browsing and browsing. I've created playlists for myself for different tracks to potentially use in my future videos, and the music itself is so good that it actually inspired me to experiment more, to try different content styles, and to find new ways to tell stories with the help of these tracks in my future YouTube videos. And this is so important to me as a creator because it's so easy to feel a little burnt out and uninspired at times, and if something stirs that creativity within me, well, I'm down. I genuinely think that it's such a powerful tool and also packed into a great service as well. The most important part for me, and I think for you as well as a creator, is that it's claims free. Using any type of music on YouTube can be quite scary, but there's no need to worry with Universal Music for Creators. All the music and sound effects are safe to use and won't result in a copyright strike, which would put your channel through unnecessary risk. I genuinely love it, and I think you will too, so make sure to check out the link in the description box to claim your 2 free months to any Universal Music for Creators plan using the code NAT2. And again, a big thank you to Universal Music for Creators for sponsoring today's video. Now, every video tells a story, even if you think it doesn't. The most technical tutorial-style videos can send a powerful message to the viewers, making them feel discouraged from trying something or empowered to do it themselves. Whether you're sprinkling in a personal anecdote, expressing a slightly controversial take, or taking viewers on a full-on adventure, storytelling is the key to creating a deep connection with your audience. Think of what vibe you're going for with your stories and what emotions you're trying to convey. If your video is supposed to be inspirational, then how? In a light, upbeat sort of way, or maybe more dramatic, almost epic? Choosing the vibe beforehand can completely change the way you express yourself, the words you choose, and then the way you produce the video. You've probably seen the music changes everything memes, and if not, just search for it quickly here on YouTube or on TikTok. The way you tell stories with all the components we've talked about so far works the same way. Now, say I want to record a day in a life of a content creator video. I could choose 10 completely different angles for it, from one that's relatable and highlights the struggles, through an educational approach with actionable tips, all the way to an inspiring vlog, allowing you to take a peek behind the curtain and see what my life looks like. And speaking of the behind the scenes, weaving in your own experiences and stories is such a powerful way to relate to your audience. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is something that I still struggle with a little, hiding behind the knowledge and not allowing my personality to show as much, but I know I want to show who I am more here. At the end of the day, you have to differentiate yourself from other creators, and the biggest unique point you can find is yourself, with all your quirks, all your idiosyncrasies. That's how you find your tribe and a community of like-minded people who care about each other. If you only optimize for search or show purely educational videos, you risk building a transactional audience that's only there for the tips and moves on to other creators without the need of ever coming back. Now, one thing that you've probably heard left and right is to niche down. And although I generally agree with this, I don't think going super narrow on one topic at the very start is the right tactic. Yes, sticking to one general subject matter helps you find this distinctive audience and therefore grow quicker, but experimenting is still going to be crucial in the early stages. Now, this is how you learn and figure out exactly how to serve your audience best. When I first started on YouTube, I knew I wanted to help my audience become better content creators and improve their social media marketing skills, but it's a super broad subject. After all, there are so many platforms to choose from, so many ways to market on social media, and so many approaches I could have taken. How could I initially just choose one limited section of it? So I've shared what I knew about, what I was most drawn to, and what I knew would be helpful to my then potential audience. I shared YouTube tips on how to optimize your channel and videos. I talked about building a marketing strategy. I published detailed tech tutorials on Canva, on Asana, and other very useful tools for content creators, and I shared my favorite Instagram tips that in my experience worked best. That's definitely not what I would call niching down, but it helped me discover what subjects perform best for me and my audience. That's just experimenting with your niche, but there are so many variables that you can just play around with. You can experiment with the format, trying out vlog style videos for educational content. You can play with the music and the visuals to see the effect they have on your audience. You can change the way you tell stories through content. All the testing, especially in the early phases, will really give you crucial insights that you can use to build a successful channel. When you start crafting your content this way and take your YouTube journey seriously, you'll inevitably gain some traction. The key here is to keep analyzing the info you get along the way. Make sure you regularly check your video analytics to see if the changes you're making are influencing your results. I'd say it's also important not to change too many things at the same time because you have to know where the changes are coming from. If you change the title, the thumbnail, the format, the hook, all of it at once, you're not as likely to find what actually worked. From time to time, I like to go back to my best and worst performing videos and see how they differ. In the analytics, you can see if there are any dips, spikes, or top moments and what happened in the video to have caused them. This will tell you exactly what to do or not to do so that you can keep writing outlines or scripts better. Then keep experimenting, keep analyzing, rinse and repeat. And a word of warning here, don't get too obsessed with the metrics. It's so easy to feel discouraged when you publish a video and it flops, and I know I'm struggling with it too. But YouTube is a marathon and it's crucial to keep playing the long game. Just because you have a streak of low-performing videos doesn't mean a great one is not just around the corner. Nothing beats consistency on this platform, so do yourself a favor and really commit to it for at least 6 months. Now, drop me a ready in the comments if you're serious about growing a successful YouTube channel this year, and check out this video right here to build a strong marketing strategy step by step with me. Thank you again to Universal Music for Creators for kindly sponsoring this video. Don't forget to check them out in the description box and use code NAT2 for a whole 2 months of claim-free music for free. I'm super grateful that you've stayed with me till the very end. You know how important it is to me and the channel too, so thank you so much. And make sure to subscribe because I have so much more useful content coming up that will definitely change your content marketing game. And I'll see you next time.